Hello and welcome to Audiotree Live. Today is Monday, November 22nd, 2021, and we are very excited to have JMSEY in the studio with us today. Take it away when you guys are ready. Fuck yeah. You guys are watching Audiotree Live with JMSEY. What's up? That was so good.
Hello. I'm out of breath.
You're killing it, man. That song is called Instaham, and it was released just this past Friday, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And it has I'm very intrigued by the meaning and the message behind it. So can you tell me about the inspiration that got you to write the song?
Yeah, well, Instaham, the first time I even penned some of the chords in the song, it was at the time, the very beginning of lockdown and protests and just a lot of emotion on your feed. Mm-hmm. It felt like for a while there you can open your feed without seeing something, crazy. And on top of not knowing what was going on and just being told to stay in, it kind of was birthed from that. Mm-hmm. And as the lockdown went on, it just evolved into just my gradual frustration, which has always been there, with social media and media in general and how we receive media, and going back and forth between hating it and also just appreciating the technology that exists now that allows us to do this. But I don't know, by the end of the year, I found myself just very confused and not being able to trust anything that I saw. Mm-hmm. And it just made me yearn to return to just talking to people in real life. And of course, as we were saying before, the irony that when we need to do that the most, we're not supposed to. And so, it's just that frustration. And naturally, starting off very emotional in the year, and as it was going on, kind of seeing a lot of people that were saying a lot of things and showing a lot of care, but then it gradually slipping away, myself included.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's really important when people, jump on a pedestal such as this and talk about the stuff, it's important to remember, like, no one's a saint here. Like, I'm trying to figure it out too.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, it's kind of like we're at that part in the Black Mirror episode where shit's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so for me personally, for my sanity, I'm just trying to find ways to go back to the first 10 minutes of the show where you're like, this is cool. There's some good to come from this. And I believe there still can be, and there still is. You know, it's not all doom and gloom, but at that particular moment, it felt that way. So that's basically where.
I mean, I completely agree with you. One thing that I wonder, because I have a hard time answering this question, because I think very similarly that something that I say often is I think that there are positive things about social media, but I think it is net negative. Do you think, like, what is a time in the social media, like in this lifespan of social media, like, so starting with whatever it was, like Friendster or MySpace, do you think that there was a time where you were like, that's okay, we could have stayed there?
See, that's such an interesting question too, because when I think about MySpace, for instance, and all the fights that I'd see
top 8
over the top 8, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just moving that person down to 3.
I know that I did it pointedly.
Having to deal with that shit in school and like, you know. So that's such a difficult, fascinating question, honestly, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I can't, my easy answer would be the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
Like, clearly at the beginning, there are still its issues.
Like
but
emailing?
I guess
Emailing, I think, is fine.
MSN Messenger, you know, just
I
very
am.
innocent.
Loved I am.
Yeah, I don't know. But like, at the same time, I think what I'm saying and how I'm saying it is also kind of a very cyclical thing that has been said multiple times through history, whether it's over the internet or whether it's over social media or something. There's always something coming along, right?
Yeah.
I think we're just going through that right now. I just think right now it feels very intense because technology evolves exponentially.
Yeah, and it's inescapable.
Yeah.
There's no way to avoid it.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you know, people always talk about the algorithm and Instagram or whatever and how it's always changing, but it's like, that's just life, man. Like the second you think you figured something out in life, they'll
Switches
find
it
a
up.
way. You know, I have a background in sales. I did sales for like 7 years. And whenever we started making a good amount of money, they would throw in some sort of rule to like bring it back down, you know? So it's just interesting making those correlations. And, you know, I really don't know. But what I do know is I think people should take information that they see on social media with a grain of salt, obviously, and really try and go into real life and talk to people and see and find out for yourselves, you know. And that goes with everything in terms of your perception of what you're worth. You know? I think as artists now, we're in this position where we have to play the game of the playlists and the TikToks. And
yeah.
Like, I was just talking to some of my bandmates earlier. It's like some of my friends that I'm close to, it's kind of sad seeing them do things that I can tell they don't want to do, but they kind of have to, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I am too. I'm on Instagram too, you know, but I definitely am trying to hold myself more accountable, and I think by talking about it openly like this is, in a sense, holding myself accountable and telling and kind of asking people to hold me accountable for things that I do moving forward, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. Because, I mean, I think that, man, I have so many thoughts about this because I scroll through TikTok and I just, like, to know that there are people whose entire careers are riding on a 20-second clip going viral.
Yeah.
And it'll last for maybe like tops like 3 weeks.
Right.
And then they're going to be chasing that high forever and ever and ever because you got a taste of popularity, but it's a very weird, warped sense of popularity.
Totally.
And it's not success. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel
It
you.
feels icky.
It feels a little bit icky.
Yeah.
But then, like, there's also, because everything's diversity, right?
Yeah.
And diversity obviously goes beyond what I feel most people always apply to, which is race. Diversity is everything. And there's a diversity of people who really are talented on those things too, and like, great, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I think when those things start to kind of become the mainstream path that people try to go to, that's fine. But I think there's the switch in people's brains sometimes when they're really chasing for it and they almost rely on it. And, you know, you hear people say, like, living for the like or whatever, you know, and that's a real thing. That's such a real thing. And I think one of the things that I came out of last year with is really having a lot more compassion towards people's coping mechanisms. Because I think last year was a very, you know, clearly a moment in history where everyone was coping somehow.
It's like a collective trauma
Whether it's
almost.
posting more or posting their opinion on this, but posting it to their specifically chosen people, right? To just get, yeah, totally, yeah, agreed. You know?
Yeah.
And that makes you feel good. I get it, you know?
Yeah.
I'm never going to shame anyone, or I'm going to try not to shame anyone for their coping mechanisms. Like I said, I think last year taught me to be a lot more compassionate, and if anything, learn to be around more people and talk more about stuff like this and share stories and opinions and just have open dialogue. I think that's something that's very important nowadays too, is feeling comfortable and confident to say what you feel without feeling like you're going to be branded something, which is, I think I'm probably a victim of what I'm talking about right now, but it just feels like now it's very eggshelly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying.
I could just be watching, maybe I need to change up my media sources, I don't know, but like.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to exist in a world online that we don't create, like, because it's just, we are our own echo chambers, so. Yeah.
And as an artist, like my favorite form of art that I appreciate and love the most is comedy. I think it's like one of the purest forms of entertainment in the history of like humans, you know, court jesters, whatever, just to be able to stand in front of someone and to make someone laugh, you know. And I think comedy's going through a very interesting thing now where, you know, there's a lot of conversation on what you can and can't say. And I think that my personal opinion is that that's sacred ground, in my opinion. And the hope is that as a society, we move the needle together in a direction that we think is more appropriate to the time. But also understanding that things change, you know?
Yeah.
And being sensitive and compassionate, and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
I think that art form is sacred, you know? And, you know, maybe people feel that way about music too, you know? I would love to be able to know that I can write about whatever I want, you know, and hope that people give me the chance to either meet me in person or talk or whatever, and not just take everything at face
concept of
value.
grace is,
you know,
not so prevalent at the moment.
And I get it though, because, you know, especially our generation, we've kind of been groomed for this very reactionary response to everything we see, clickbait, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I digress.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for talking. But let's go into the next two songs.
Little. Can I talk right here? Can I be like, this is...
You can do whatever you want.
This song's not even out yet, but we are writing it with a good friend in LA. His name's Collier, amazing artist, and going to try and put this one out next year.
Small talk, yeah, I know I made a mess of it. But if there's something that you wanna tell me, please just let me know. And keep it
this next song is called Style. We put it out second after lockdown, and it's about my first experience talking to a girl in real life after being told to stay indoors for 9 months at a coffee shop.
About your style when I first saw it. Yeah, you knew no way I could ignore it. I was sitting there feeling dry, but you walking by me feel fine. Yeah. Love is real, yeah, I fucking hate it. Is it destiny to be repeated? It's the fear in most of us, you see. Yeah, baby, ooh, there's something crazy about your style. Keep me guessing, baby. Cause you know I've been feeling lately. Above you, but maybe me and all the shit I'm trying to do for me, please a little favor. Don't let me stand in your way ever between the things that you want in life. Ooh, there's something crazy about your style. Ooh, there's something crazy about your style. Ooh, there's something crazy about your chocolate chip. Fucking give me the dairy, no. All that shit is gonna do is make me feel gross. Look at us laying there in a comatose. I wouldn't change it for a thing, but it all started with your style. It all started with your style. Oh, you gone and caught me with your style. Ooh, you gone and caught me with your style. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
You're watching Audiotree Live with JMSEY. It sounds so good.
thank you.
So, given everything we just talked about, you're living in LA now.
Yeah.
So what is it like there? I've never been to LA.
Whoa.
I know. So, and I have an idea of what it is,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily a flattering.
Yes.
It's so in the context of like social media and everything. What is it like there? And how does it inform your thoughts of these things?
Well, to be honest with you, it took me a while to warm up to LA too. We are all originally from Sacramento.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever been there.
Nope.
But it's like a nice little small town.
Yeah.
You know?
I've seen Lady Bird.
Yeah, there's
So
cool shit going on, you know?
Yeah.
And like we got an arena now and things
Cool.
are getting, got great coffee.
nice.
And the music scene's great there, you know? But, when you've been anywhere for a long enough time, I feel like you do eventually start to feel a little boxed in and maybe feel like you're doing the same things and making the same choices over and over again. And I guess from what it sounds like, the biggest reason why I never really wanted to move to LA is for the same reason you're saying. I think my experiences there up until, more recently were always those classic kind of, what do you do? Within 10 to 15 minutes, what do you do?
Yeah.
And that kind of air of like,
One eye looking over your shoulder to see
Yeah.
who else is coming in the room or something.
What can you do
Yeah.
for me and vice versa?
Yeah.
And honestly, I guess the way I got kind of over it, or the way I just, the kind of click and the epiphany for me was, it's kind of just not taking it personal. This might be a silly comparison, but it's like to me, is like going to France and being annoyed that they speak French. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it.
When you go to LA is built and made off of people. It's entertainment industry.
Networking.
And that's networking.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So, like, does that mean that you can't make real friendships? Absolutely not. I've made so many amazing friends, you know, like, since moving there. And I had to just kind of go in with a more open mind and less judgmental, to be honest with you. And Caleb lives there. Christian lives there, too. We're trying to convince Ryan.
He doesn't seem thrilled.
We're trying to convince him with the rock climbing. But yeah, man, ever since moving down there, I feel like I've grown exponentially as not just an artist, but as a person.
Yeah. It comes back to like what you were saying earlier about like compassion and like,
right.
I mean, like having grace with people rather than just sort of writing them off immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's very easy to do in LA because time is of the essence, like, and it is, you know, but that's not to say it's not possible to make those connections, those real connections. And it's all in delivery and how you present yourself, right?
Yeah.
And LA, I love LA now.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it's done so much for me, like I said, as a person, as an artist. You know, and that goes for any of the other cities, Nashville, New York, or whatever. It's not, I always tell my friends in Sacramento, it's not that people in LA are more talented than people in Sacramento. There are just more of them.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a specific reason behind LA. I feel like people go there with like a knowledge of like, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it.
Now, if I moved when I was younger, I totally see the rabbit hole that you could fall down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's always something to do. But I moved there later on, and all that stuff doesn't really matter to me, so it's cool. I'm very hyper-focused on what I want to do. And so it's great. I love it down there, and like, you know, you meet 20 people in a day, and 15 of them do some form of art, and 10 of them do it for a living, you know. And at most,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, because now you can ask all these questions, and you know, and in a smaller town, you're just not going to get that, you know. It's just numbers thing, and it's not like a better or worse. It's just numbers, you know. Did you want to touch on that?
About LA?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's a cool place. I like it.
Yeah.
I've been there for 4 years, and like, I think I was like pretty nervous because I had the same kind of opinion about Los Angeles. It was pretty superficial, and everybody's out there kind of for themselves. But
it is.
And it is like 100%. But I think
like two things can be true at the same time.
No, that's absolutely true. My experience has been that like I've met some of my favorite people in the world there. I've played some of my favorite gigs. I've done a lot of really, really things that I've really enjoyed. And the main thing though is I've made some of my best friends there. And some of my best friends have moved there, which has been awesome as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think there are selfish people everywhere. And it's just the nature of human beings. And so LA is there's just more people in Los Angeles. So naturally there's going to be...
increase the sample size.
Exactly.
And I think people forget how big LA is too.
Yeah.
I think most people think LA and they just think of Hollywood and that's it. And that's what... It's not.
Yeah.
It's like...
Dude, it's like so many subcultures everywhere.
You can find your own lane or your own people, whatever you want to call it. You know, this is massive. And like... That is something that I've really grown to love, especially so I moved to LA February 2020. I had 3 weeks to run around and experience LA pre-COVID, and then everything went to whatever it was.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, was probably the best LA you could experience.
It was
the
amazing.
traffic
Because I drove around.
Traffic.
Yeah,
no
I got
traffic.
to drive around everywhere. I got to experience a lot, you know, and it helped me find my area. I moved
sort of
3
like
times.
you can sort of like figure out what it was to you without like outside influence.
Right. I moved like 3 times to 3 different areas and figured out where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And now I'm settled in East Hollywood and I love it. You know? And it's there's also been like a literal like blood transfusion down there too. Like a lot of people have moved and a lot of people have moved in. So for someone like me moving when I did, it's nice to feel part of new LA. Like I'm part of the new, I'm at the ground level.
Yeah.
I don't feel like such a noob, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the circles and gatekeeping, which still exists, have been like humbled a little bit. I think everyone was humbled a little bit last year. I think last year going out, you know, the few times that you did, everyone kind of had this kind of look of, oh, you good?
Yeah.
You okay? You know?
Yeah.
It was nice.
It's like everyone just like happy to be there.
Yeah, it was nice. You know, it was nice to feel that from people. I'm sure eventually it will work its way back, which is fine, but I'm going to enjoy it while I can.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Well, now you've convinced me, and now I'm moving to LA.
Let's go.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. I've had a great time, and I'm excited to hear your last song.
Cool. Thanks for having us. This song's called Sunny Days. It's about remembering the more nostalgic times before things went kind of crazy. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, I miss those days. Yeah. Hey, he's fucking with my mind. Two choices to stay or go outside. He's got my mind and my body on a stretch. It's okay, I just reminisce about those times, yeah, and those sunny days. Yeah, yeah. Man, I miss those sunny days, funny days, funny days. We partied last night. You parked in my spot, but babe, that's fine. Just put the quarters in my name. I made you breakfast, but let's stroll back. Looking back, I can never say I missed all that. Sometimes life it takes you by surprise on the fence, but I feel alive, yeah. So I think of those sunny days, yeah, yeah. Man, I miss those sunny days, and funny days. Poor Caleb. Ice cold beer at a truck stop. Slipping champagne on a big yacht. These two things I don't do much. I like watching YouTube till I'm too up. Sunny days, yeah, yeah. Man, I miss those sunny days, but funny days. Sunny days, yeah. Sunny days, but funny days. Let's go. Thank you.
Hell yeah. This has been JMSEY on Audiotree Live. You can keep up with him at jamesey.com and socials, just JMSEY. And thank you to you guys for being here. What an incredible time. And thank you to the camera and lighting crew, and thank you to the audio engineers, and thank you to Ellie on the TriCaster, and we will see you later. Have a lovely day.